Join me now, host of the Nate Friedman Show, Nate Friedman. Nate, your videos are so interesting to watch. I'm just interested in the views because we watched the protest and you actually get to hear from the protesters. And you have this guy who says he wants to seize buildings. So are these protesters satisfied with the Mamdanis or the Katie Wilsons, or do they want something more, something further?
Well, they voted for it. This is the base. What you heard him say, that is what they believe. This is not, you know, that was one of the crazier things I've heard. Most of the time I hear, well, if rich people are going to leave the city, then we don't want them here. He's saying we're going to make it illegal for them to leave. Who's going to want to invest in building new homes if the government's going to come and seize it, which is going to make housing more expensive? It's going to tighten the supply. This is not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. And it takes, some studying in schools. This is why we need to study socialism and capitalism and have well-informed, thought-out ideas about these two economic systems. Let's take our viewers to another protest. This one is also New York City. This is about immigration. Let's hear what a protester told you.
What should we replace ICE with?
People of Minnesota are
maybe with immigrants that can actually help us learn how they got into the country in the most safest way possible and how we can allow them to keep coming into this country safely and possibly. Let immigrants be in charge. Let them take over that role. Let them be in charge of Border Patrol. It's their issue, correct?
teachers.
Let them be the ones in charge.
What went through your mind? So immigrants taking over ICE? I mean,
that was one of the hardest times to keep a straight face in my videos. I've done hundreds of street interviews. That was crazy. That messaging, we know what she's talking about. She's talking about illegal immigrants running ICE, okay? And that messaging from the Democrat Party is to spit in the face of the people like my father and so many people watching who came here lawfully. And it's a strategy the Democrat Party is doing, is to brainwash them, to bring in millions of voters, and to say they're just like every other immigrant. No, they hopped the border because they were offered 4-star, 5-star hotels, and I've talked to those immigrants. And they tell me, I asked them, who will you vote for in perpetuity? Democrat Party. Wow. That was the plan.
What does this existential rhetoric do to them? Because you have, smart elected officials who go out and say things like Nazi and make these horrid comparisons between President Trump and a heinous ideology. Does it motivate them? Do they listen to the leaders, or are they doing their own thing?
No, they listen, and they become so hateful that it's devoid of any logic, because they'll call Trump Hitler, who's been the best president for Jewish people ever in this country. And I'll say, how is he Hitler? Is he putting Jews in gas chambers? No. Not yet. They have to say things like this, which is they know is crazy, but they double down and they double down. Whatever's against Trump, that's what they'll say.
So are they nice to you when you go out there? Because you're asking questions that aren't necessarily compliant with their ideology. What do they say?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. Sometimes towards the end of the conversation, they see that maybe I don't think the way they do, and it gets a little bit intense. But I genuinely do want to know what they think. That's why I started this, because I want to get into the minds of someone who could support a mayor who's brought somebody in, a tenant director who says that it's white supremacy to own a house. I mean, how can you get into the mind of someone like that without speaking to them?
So what happens when they get a policy deliverable? This is something I was wondering, because you had someone like Tom Homan come in and really manage a situation in a smart way and talk with people from the other party and come up with solutions. Because at the end of the day, I think we all want to see criminal illegal immigrants off the streets that could harm children, that have track records of this. When they get a deliverable, do they take the win and find a new cause, or do they just not even recognize that the win has happened?
Well, they not really going to consider it a win. They'll say, first of all, they won't give Trump any credit. That's one thing that I've noticed. It's a common thread. So if Trump closes the border, there's less illegal immigrants, they'll say, something else. Like, Biden did that before, like, whatever. So it's just whatever is against Trump, that's what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's quite an ideology.
Yeah.
I think there's a word for that. Is it TDS? Is that what I heard? Trump derangement syndrome?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable using that term. That's what I see out there.
And you're going to Spain next?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.